One of the annual highlights of SEWE are our high-flying, fine-feathered friends. Let's welcome Stephen Schabel, Vice President and Director for the Center for Birds of Prey in beautiful Onondaga. Good to have you back.
Thanks for having me.
And you brought a friend with you.
I did. I never go anywhere without a bird.
No. Well, SEWE is known for the art and the handcrafted goods, but conservation is such an important component of SEWE. So first, why don't you tell us who your friend is?
Sure, absolutely. This is a bird that hatched as a part of our conservation breeding program at the center. He's a bird called a northern white-faced owl. So it's a species native to Africa, but it's very similar in most respects to the eastern screech owl that we have right in our own backyards here in South Carolina.
And this is a male. He's absolutely beautiful.
It is a male. The females are just as beautiful, maybe even more beautiful because they're a little bigger than the males are. But it is a male, and it is full grown, even though he's just coming up on his first hatch year this year. Hatched last year as a part of our breeding program. And as a part of our educational program now.
Yeah, he's a little guy. Maybe you could talk a little bit about the feathers that come up over his eyes.
Sure. So when you're a little bird like this, one of the biggest concerns in daily life is making sure you don't get eaten by a larger predator. Sure. And so being well camouflaged is a part of that. We think that a big part of these little feather tufts on the top of his head is camouflage. We call these things plumicorns, by the way, feather horns.
Oh,
so little feather horns on the top of his head. He can raise them and lower them so that if he's trying to hide, he can make them look a little more like leaves or twigs, or if he's trying to be real sleek and
like when he's flying, does it?
Perhaps when he's flying more, right? They lay down flatter on the top of his head.
How good is their hearing?
Oh, he can hear well enough that he could catch a mouse or an insect under the leaf litter, no problem. He doesn't have to see his food. He can just hear the rustle in the grass and
just
fly down
home right in on it
and grab it. Yeah.
Unbelievable. What is his typical diet?
So little bird like this, lots of small mammals, things like mouse and voles. Here in South Carolina, the eastern screech owl is a big mouser, but also lots of insects. So all of those moths and flying insects and beetles, whatever they can get their feet on, really. But he only weighs about 200 grams, which is a little less than half a pound. So his food's got to be pretty small.
Sure. And are they nocturnal?
So most owls are nocturnal. The northern white-faced owl is an example of a nocturnal owl. Not all owls are nocturnal. And something I think that's important for people to remember is that just because you're nocturnal doesn't mean you don't do anything during the day. Yeah. Our nocturnal animals are out there active when they need to be active. It's not unusual to see an owl like this out during the day. It might be... It's certainly unusual is probably not the best word for it.
Sure.
But it wouldn't be out of the question that they would be out doing something during the day, but they're primarily active at night.
And you typically hear the hooing.
Right, and that's when you hear them talking to each other, vocalizing, hooting, or making other noises. We hear that during the day as well sometimes, but most of that happens at night.
It does, doesn't it? Tell us a bit more about Birds of Prey, the Center for Birds of Prey, because you drive up and down 17, you see it as a beautiful spot right there in the low country where people can come and see not just owls, but other.
Absolutely. So the Center for Birds of Prey is the public component of an organization called the Avian Conservation Center. It's just the place that you can come and visit that's associated with that. We started back in the 1990s taking care of injured birds, and we still do that in our avian medical clinic. That's another component of the Avian Conservation Center. But at the Center for Birds of Prey, people can come and visit us on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays and meet this bird and lots of others. We have about 110 birds from all around the world that are a part of our educational collection. Those that are familiar with hawks, eagles, owls, falcons, vultures, kites, the birds of prey that we would expect to see. If they're familiar with our demonstrations at SEWE, we do flight demonstrations similar to the one we do at SEWE at the center, but includes a lot more that we can't bring downtown. So
how critical are these birds of prey to our ecosystem?
Oh, absolutely. As top predators, they're keeping all of the prey species under them in check. If we don't have owls eating mice, then we're going to have too many mice. And if we have too many mice, then we have the problems that are associated with too many mice, right? There's a balance out there.
And what can we do to better protect?
That's a great question. So we point out a few issues that people might not be aware of that relate to owls. Obviously, like other birds of prey, they get hit by cars, and we treat them in our medical clinic for car-related injuries. That's a tough one really to do much about. We're driving cars, but we can certainly keep the roadways cleaner. We can do a better job of making it less enticing to be by the
Sure.
side of the highway.
Yep.
Another issue that many owls face is secondary poisoning from rodenticides. A lot of people don't think about it, but if you're putting bait traps out for mice and rats in your home, you're likely poisoning the owls that live around your home when those mice and rats run out. So
Reptiles too.
Reptiles, mammals, you name it. Any predator that eats that mouse or rat after it's eaten that poison is going to ingest the poison in the form of the rat, and it's toxic to them just like it's toxic to the rat.
Absolutely.
So that's something easy to do. We can leave it to the professional pest control people. They know how to do it. Don't apply those rodent poisons on your own.
And setting out those poison
and
traps.
Those bait traps might seem convenient, but know that they're causing big issues for our native predators.
With just a couple of seconds left, what can people expect this weekend at SEWE?
Oh, lots of flight demonstrations. We'll be doing flight demos at 10:30 and 2 o'clock every day. So some of the favorites in Marion Square, bringing birds in from the hotel, and we'll hopefully have some new birds as well. We'll have a wide variety of birds and other informational material in our tent that people can come and see and learn more about us.
Stephen, thank you so much.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Owl.
Oh, he says anytime.
We're back after this.